Hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Ramos, New York Jets fan since 1982. This video, it's about last night's game between the New York Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars dominated the game, and they won 19-3, all but eliminating the Jets from the AFC playoffs. Even though technically, mathematically, the Jets are still in it. Let's be honest; it's all over for the New York Jets, and quite frankly. As a team, as a whole, they don't deserve to make the playoffs. They were 6-3, and looks like they were heading in the right direction. 7-4, and now 7-8. These last four losses, all in the month of December, have been brutal. One after another, after another, after another. Going into December, we were hoping for this 2022 season that the Jets would play meaningful games in December. With that being said, the Jets have lost all of those meaningful games, and it's unfortunate. We now know that the injury to Breece Hall and the injury to Elijah Vera-Tucker, those injuries, season-ending injuries for each one of them, really were the beginning of the end. With that being said, again, this team does not deserve to make the playoffs. Even if they finish 9-8, which they kind of can, they just don't. The way they've been playing, and God forbid if they somehow make the playoffs. The management might be like, well, let's not. Well, maybe we're not that far away. Maybe we shouldn't tinker with the things that we need to tinker with. And God forbid that the Jets get to the playoffs and win a playoff game. Oh, shoot. Then management might not cover up all the weaknesses, which are a lot. And I'm going to go through them. As far as cornerbacks, you got DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner, who will be Rookie of the Year. And I think unanimously this year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. So the cornerbacks, that's set for a while. The safeties with Jordan Whitehead, he's been okay, and LaMarcus Joyner, I know he's been hurt. As far as the linebacking core, C.J. Mosley, he's got to go. Look, I know he's a Pro Bowler, made the Pro Bowl for the fifth time in his career, but sometimes his tackling has been shoddy, and I won't even get into that penalty against Buffalo that really pissed me off, and then that blown coverage against the Detroit Lions. The defensive line, you could probably get rid of Carl Lawson. Other than that, the defensive line is solid. Quinnen Williams, you got to pay him. Unfortunately, with the Jets probably not making the playoffs this year, maybe he might think about, maybe I should go to another team. Maybe I should go to a winning team. I don't see that happening. I see Quinnen Williams staying as a Jet. But overall, this defense, while it has played well, there's been a lot of poor tackling, a lot of dumb penalties, a lot of blown coverages, very similar to the 2009-2010 Jets defenses that were run by Rex Ryan, defenses that were considered the best in the league. But quite frankly, those two defenses cost the Jets the two AFC championship games that the Jets lost all those years ago. It wasn't Mark Sanchez. But that's another story for another day. This defense is very similar to that. They play great until it matters. They should have won the game last Sunday against Detroit. It was the defense that blew it. Zach Wilson and the Jets, they did enough to win the game on that 4th and 3. The Jets defense should have got the job done. Terrible tackling, bad body language at times. The defense needs a good kick in the rear end. However, a lot of that falls on the offense. I'm going to say again, the offensive line is the bread and butter of football, irrespective of if the quarterback is Zach Wilson, Mike White, Chris Streveler, Neil O'Donnell, Frank Reich, Bobby Brister, Richard Todd, Pat Ryan, Chad Pennington, Vinny Testaverde, Glenn Foley, on and on and on and on. It doesn't matter if the offensive line is not good enough, and this offensive line, particularly late in the year, ain't good enough. At left tackle, Dwayne Brown, I think he's probably going to retire. But if he comes back for 1 year, I keep him as a backup. Unfortunately, I don't have any faith in Mekhi Becton. So I think that the Jets should stock up at offensive tackle and on the offensive line next year. This year, left guard Laken Tomlinson has been a bust this year. Connor McGovern at center, he's been adequate. So I would probably keep him. Nate Herbig, same thing. I think he's been solid this year. I'd keep Nate Herbig. I'd say goodbye to George Fant too. This offensive line needs to be revamped, particularly at the two tackle spots and the left guard. So obviously that affects the running game. James Robinson was brought in to replace Breece Hall, and really didn't do anything. I think we found a diamond in the rough in Zonovan Knight, and I think we should keep him and keep Michael Carter as well. Even though Michael Carter, I don't think he should be a number one running back. In second and third down situations and things like that. I think Michael Carter is going to have a solid career as a Jet, very much the way Bilal Powell did. Bilal Powell was a fifth-round running back out of Louisville, and he had a good, solid 11-year career for the Jets. I think that's what Michael Carter is going to end up being, kind of a Bilal Powell kind of running back for the Jets. And so now we get to the quarterback position. ZH, Zach Wilson is done as a New York Jet. Now, in the press conference after last night's game, Robert Saleh said that we have not seen the last of Zach Wilson. I agree with that 100% as far as that goes. We have not seen the last of Zach Wilson in the NFL. I think he should be on another team next year, but we have seen the last of him as a New York Jet. He should not be a New York Jet next season. There's a 20% chance that he might stay with the Jets because he was the second pick in the draft. And look, a lot of it is his fault, but there's parts of it that are not. I think that what's not his fault is the whole offensive scheme that was designed by Michael LaFleur, the offensive coordinator. He's trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Zach Wilson's skill set is not the quarterback skill set for the scheme that Mike LaFleur has. Mike White, obviously, much more suitable for that scheme. So with that being said, Robert Saleh, who I think will be okay, I don't see him getting fired after this season, despite the really crash landing, so to speak, that the Jets have had. I think Robert Saleh is okay. It's really going to come down to this: one of them's got to go. Either Zach Wilson's got to go, or Michael LaFleur's got to go, or both of them have got to go. I'm willing to say that it's over for Zach Wilson. And honestly, the way he was getting booed last night during that Jacksonville game, really more for his mental health. I think it's better for him to move on and go to another team. The Jets fans have no faith in him. I'm supportive of whoever the quarterback is, but that disaster last night, I can't support that. Chris Streveler, a guy who's he's got a little skill set here and there. He provided a little temporary spark, but no points. Chris Streveler obviously is not the answer, but it's a shame that you're the number 2 pick in the 2021 draft, and some guy that really no one's ever really heard of outplayed you. That says a lot about you. And the team reacted better and played better. The offense got a spark from him instead of you. That says a lot about you. Again, it's not all Zach Wilson's fault, but he's got to take the brunt of it. I respect the fact that he took accountability, even if that press conference might have been scripted. He knows it's over, and so now all he has to do is just kind of sit back and wait to see what team will pick him up, and I'm sure another team will. Now people are saying that New England might pick him up next year. They've got Mac Jones. Bill Belichick is not going to invest in Zach Wilson. I could see him going to Carolina and, him and Sam Darnold taking notes of what a shit show the New York Jets is right now, especially at the quarterback position. It's unfortunate. They were 7-4. You had before that the whole debacle in the second game against New England. Just, I'm really sick to my stomach. I predicted the Jets would go 10-7 and get a wild card spot. And, obviously I was wrong. I got to come out here and say that I was wrong. And it's over. It's over for Zach Wilson. And it's time for him to move on. It's time for the Jets to part ways with him. Sometimes you just got to take the L and move forward. Now in the offseason, get some speed at linebacker, work on the fundamentals of tackling on the defense, and rebuild that offensive line. And hopefully Elijah Vera-Tucker and Breece Hall in particular will come back next season stronger than ever. Also, Corey Davis, I think he's got to go. Too many drop passes. So you can You could probably say goodbye to Denzel Mims as well. So we might have to get another receiver, maybe in free agency or maybe later in the draft next season. But really, this video is about a very sad ending for the career of Zach Wilson. It's going to be very difficult for him to pick up the pieces and become a solid quarterback. But then again, look at Jared Goff. Jared Goff, after he got traded from the Rams, I mean, listen, he to me, I thought he was done. And look at the season that he's having with Detroit. So, I mean, you talk about a candidate for comeback player of the year. It's definitely Jared Goff should be one of the names considered. I try to support Zach Wilson, but quite frankly, I can't support him anymore. He's done. You cannot sell him next year, even as a backup quarterback to the New York Jets fan base. Okay, you just can't. They're not going to buy it. Okay, that's like when TLC years and years ago, they had a reality show, and because they were trying to find another singer to replace the late Lisa Left Eye Lopez. Wasn't nobody going to buy that. It doesn't matter who you put in the group. You could have put Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston or Anita Baker or Sade. You could have put them in TLC. Nobody would have bought it. This is kind of the same thing. You can sell Zach Wilson to the Jets fans. Oh, he's improved this offseason and all that. At this point, the Jets fans are not going to buy it. The damage is already done. Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, just take the loss and keep it moving and see what you can do in the offseason at quarterback. You might want to keep Mike White, or you can go after Derek Carr, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe Lamar Jackson. I don't see Lamar Jackson coming over here. Somebody got on social media earlier talking about, well, Tom Brady is a free. Tom Brady is not coming to the New York Jets. Okay, so we'll see what happens in the offseason. I feel bad for Zach Wilson, honestly. I really wanted him to succeed as the quarterback of the New York Jets, but it wasn't meant to be. So off to Seattle next week at Seattle, and then off to Miami for the last game of the season. See you then. Bye-bye.